I was thinking about this earlier, I use throughout every step of the content creation process, and it saves me a ton of time.
YouTube is very much a treadmill where the algorithm will punish you if you stop posting for long enough.
It will be sad if the career of content creation and authentic content creators disappear.
Today we have Greg Preece on the podcast. Greg is an experienced YouTube strategist who is specialized in getting you more YouTube views and converting those views to clients with AI.
Greg's journey began with a passion for merging AI with video creation, and his expertise lies in harnessing the power of AI to save time in video production while still creating videos that get picked up by the algorithm and go viral.
I think YouTube, at the end of the day, cares about what's going to make YouTube the most money.
How do you think AI will affect content creation, not in 1 year's time or 2 years' time, but let's say in like 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? Because that for me is a little bit concerning.
Join us as we uncover the secrets, strategies, and stories behind successful AI-driven YouTube growth with Greg Preece.
So let's get into it. So Greg, really good to have you on the podcast. Could you kind of explain just in 30 seconds or a minute, basically what you do with your business?
Sure. Yeah. So there's two sides to what I do. First side is I'm a YouTuber. So I have a YouTube channel that focuses really on helping video creators be more consistent. So that's through helping them make videos faster so that they can produce more and just stay consistent. Alongside that, I have a business where I help other businesses to succeed on YouTube. So get a lot of views and also turn those views into sales. And that's kind of drawing from what I've learned from building my own YouTube channel over the last 6 to 7 years.
I watched your, I think the first ever video on your channel, I think it was 7 years ago. And it was something like, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and I think you just graduated from university, I think, and you moved to Vancouver in Canada. And here you are now, 7 years later. Can you kind of give us a quick synopsis of what happened in those 7 years? How did that journey go? Sure. Because 7 years ago, you were in the video, you're like, I don't know anything. I'm starting business from scratch. And it's interesting because I also started my business around the same time. So I was in a very similar position to you. I just graduated university, and I'd also just moved abroad. I moved to Amsterdam initially, and then later on Vietnam, where I am now. So I think that there's quite a few parallels there. So I'm curious to hear about your journey over the last 7 years.
Sure. Yeah. So I think you're one of a tiny handful of people that have seen that video. So nice work. Yeah. So it was actually my job that I just left. I'd been working 9 to 5 jobs for years after finishing uni and just wasn't happy. So I started that channel at this point in my life where I had quit my job, moved to Canada, and was going to try and figure things out myself and kind of start this new chapter of my life. And because I loved making videos and I love photography, I started the YouTube channel up alongside that decision from a place of passion. I was just going to document this new chapter of my life. Shortened version, over the next 6 or 7 years, the YouTube channel actually became the business when I saw it grow and I saw the potential that came from that channel. So just fell more in love with YouTube, more in love with learning about YouTube and helping other people do well with online video. And that's where I got to today. And that's why the offshoot of where I started with the channel is now me also helping businesses grow and succeed with their YouTube channel too.
And you're not in Canada anymore, right? You're back in the UK. So what was the decision to go from Canada back to the UK?
Yeah, back in the UK. So let's go back to Canada. I'm in Canada. I'm trying all of these different entrepreneurial projects, trying to figure this independent entrepreneur lifestyle out. Fell in love with entrepreneurship and business, but trying to do that while kind of living in hostels and doing odd jobs and just kind of living this really disconnected lifestyle wasn't really it wasn't an easy thing to commit to. So I decided to actually come back and do a master's degree in the UK on the topic of entrepreneurship, just so I could kind of have a home base, have a bit more stability around my projects, and also like network through the uni and through other like entrepreneurs, and just kind of build an understanding through networking too. So I came back to Leeds to do an entrepreneurship master's degree at the University of Leeds, and I've just never left after that. There's been such a good infrastructure here, kind of helping entrepreneurs, like accelerator programs and like incubators for entrepreneurs. I've met a load of YouTubers based in the UK since I've been back. So yeah, I just kind of found my home base back in North England.
After 7 years now, you're doing YouTube and you decided to focus on AI and AI businesses, right? So you're using AI for AI businesses or for the content creation for YouTube's for AI businesses. Am I right?
So I am using AI tools in my own content creation process. And that's kind of what I'm teaching people back on my channel, how to do that to streamline their video production and make that easier and quicker. And for my business outside of YouTube, I'm working with the businesses that make those tools, and I'm helping those businesses kind of understand how to approach YouTube, how to attract like video creators to watch their videos and become customers to start using their tools. It's a little bit.
Okay, so that's more like the SaaS, like those are SaaS businesses,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Opus Clip is a big one that I'm working for. I'm doing their YouTube strategy at the moment. So just helping them kind of raise awareness of their tool. It's a repurposing tool, by the way, that takes long form videos and
we use it.
Yeah. So helping them understand how to approach their YouTube channel and kind of get more awareness, build credibility among that following.
It's interesting. It's interesting because, like at Playstack, we do a similar thing to you, where we kind of help businesses grow on YouTube. And we've always, and Milan and I have had this discussion over and over and over in terms of niching down. Because right now our target demographic is pretty much everyone that has a business, which is not really a niche. That's pretty much every business. But it's interesting that you've kind of niched down into SaaS companies that are creating AI tools for YouTube. What made you kind of move into that space?
So yeah, I went through a similar journey that you've gone through. When I first started, I was actually trying to appeal to as broad an audience as possible. So I was like, anyone who wants to do YouTube, I can help you out. Quickly realized that by trying to be something for everyone, I was actually nothing to anyone. So then I niched down to businesses that want to be on YouTube. And it was actually through guidance from my mentor that just basically said to me, the more niche you can get, the more repeat problems that you'll start seeing in the services that you provide, and the more like systems that you can build up to help people with those problems that keep repeating themselves. So in the long run, really, the better services you can provide, and also the less work you have to do, because you're going to get a new client that has exactly the same problem as your previous client, because they're pretty much the same target customer, and you can just kind of copy and paste all the documentation, all the systems and all the solutions that you gave the last customer to the new customer. So it means you provide a better service to the customer, and actually you can work quicker on your side too. That's the thinking behind it.
Yeah, we also kind of in a similar position, but we're noticing that a lot of our clients are in the finance space and lawyers, strangely. So it's those two niches that are where we have a lot more clients than other areas, and more success, exactly. So then we can use those as case studies to kind of capture more lawyers and more people in the finance space, and just kind of snowball from there.
Even within those niches, it's still very broad. So it's like really difficult to like go as niche as possible from there, rather than just finance or just lawyer. It's
tough, and it comes over time. But you just tapped onto another benefit there too. Like if you say, when you start helping a certain type of customer, so like people who work in finance or lawyers, you start then getting case studies that help you win more people that work in finance or are lawyers. So it's kind of, and also you get referrals, like word of mouth spreads among other lawyers and other people that work in finance. So it does make it a lot easier for yourself, like niching down. Have you thought about like sticking to just finance and legal, or like, where are you guys at?
The problem is we move into the finance and legal space, but then we're still getting clients from other areas as well. Like for example, Milan and I did an SEO event, an SEO conference. We sponsored an SEO conference here in Vietnam just last week, and we had like a massive ROI on our initial investment. But those guys are all kind of SEO people, and so then that's another niche that we could probably go down as well. So,
and funny enough, one of them was an SEO for lawyers. So it was like even more specific, and I was like, dang it, like we're never going to be able to like figure it out. I mean, it would be perfect, because if we then figure it out for him, then we open up to his clientele, obviously.
There's also the factor of like which of these people makes the most money, because like the ones that make the more money, you can charge more. So that factors into it too.
Yeah.
And what gives you the best results for the effort? Because we had clients in very other niches. What was so tough? This was in the franchising niche, and we tried that for 6 months, and it's just there's just so little demand in that niche, very little like eyeballs that are interested in watching that. So you need to be very conscious about, even as a business owner, we always tell you, like, it's not about the amount of views you get, but it's like how many people can you convert from the views you have at the end of the day.
And the fact that there's been like an AI boom factored into me choosing to focus on AI companies, because it's easier for me to help them because there's more people searching for that.
Yeah,
that
true.
stuff.
It's also more hype. So piggybacking on AI again, like how much AI do you use in your content creation process? And how much time have you seen, because you've been doing it for 7 years, and I assume 7 years ago you weren't using any, or I don't even know there was any to use. It's only in the last 2-3 years that it's came up. So what do you use and how much time are you saving now?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this earlier. I use AI throughout every step of the content creation process, and it saves me a ton of time. I scaled up in the past, like a few years ago, and hired team members. I hired editors and graphic designers and stuff. And I scaled back down after a while because it was too much expenses. I think I just kind of got caught up in the hype of hiring when I didn't really need to hire. So I'm back to a one-man team now. And AI has actually helped me like get close to reaching that level of output that I had when I had a team, just being on my own. So huge fan of AI. Like, I love it. Do you want me to jump into exactly like how I use it and which I use? Or yeah. Okay. So steps of the content creation process. I was thinking about this earlier. You've got ideas, then you've got the content creation, then you've got post-production, so like editing, and then you've got like distribution. So ideation, I don't actually use AI to come up with my ideas of like what topics am I going to talk about, because I like to use like SEO and competitor research for that. But ideas of like, what is the title going to be? What words I'm going to use in the title? What's the thumbnail going to look like? What's the hook, like first 30 seconds going to be? I'm using AI for like every one of those areas in ideation. Then when you get to content creation, I've used AI in the past to help me like write the scripts. Now I have like a process I'd like to follow with scripts now, like a checklist. So I don't use AI as much, but sometimes when I'm really stuck, I might get it to like just give me some creative ideas of what metaphor I could use at this point in the script, or like how can I most easily explain this point in the script.
Is this ChatGPT that you're using for the scripts and this kind of script prompts and the titles?
Sure. God, we're getting really granular now. So I used to use ChatGPT for titles, but over time, it's not that great for titles. I just wasn't happy with the quality that it gives you for title ideas. So I've actually started using, this is really recently, I've actually started using TubeBuddy's built-in title generator.
Interesting.
Yeah. It takes your existing title. So these are for videos you've already uploaded to your channel. It takes your existing title and just gives you like endless rewrites of that title.
Oh, that's interesting, because I've just been using ChatGPT. I also use ChatGPT for title ideas, and it's nice because you can essentially get unlimited title ideas until you hit the one that you like.
Have you found on ChatGPT it like has this bias towards putting colons in YouTube titles?
It does. Yeah.
That really annoys me.
And sometimes the colons are nice in that it breaks down the title, so it's a bit easier to read. Or even brackets, like brackets at the end, do really well in terms of click-through rate as well. But you don't want colons in every single title. So yeah, definitely going to check out TubeBuddy.
I started asking ChatGPT to give me blog article headlines instead of YouTube titles to just try and get around it giving me those colons in every result.
Yeah. Does it help? Are they better?
They are actually, yeah. They're a bit longer, but yeah, it's a complete sentence rather than broken up by these semicolons. So yeah, little tip for you.
Okay. So for the titles and the scripts you use in TubeBuddy, what other kind of AI software are you using throughout the rest of the video creation process?
So TubeBuddy for titles, ChatGPT for scripts. Yeah, I'm still using ChatGPT there. And then creation is mainly me. I'm still doing most of the writing myself and the filming, but AI comes in heavily when I get to the editing stage. So, and there's many stages of editing there as well. So first pass, just like cleaning up mistakes, silences, repetitions that I've done when I was filming. I was using a tool called Gling for a first time. Don't know if you've heard of it. Really great tool. That takes your...
How do you spell that?
Gling. Gling.
Oh, okay.
Recommend anyone check it out. It takes your recording, transcribes it into text, and then it like finds duplicates, like repeated sentences where you've started talking through a sentence, made a mistake, said it again, and it takes out all of those mistakes and just leaves you with the final like correct take. So huge time saver there. Also cuts out all of the silences in between like sentences. So, and then you can like take that finished project and export it to XML, which you can then import into Premiere, import to Final Cut, and then do the rest of your editing in your actual editing software. So huge time saver there with Gling.
And then you was building your team out a bit too quickly, and then you kind of shrunk it back down. So now you're one man band. And this is something that I'm hearing often with YouTubers, and I've experienced that myself. I grew, as Milan knows, I grew my team very quickly back in around 2020. And I think I grew it to maybe 15, 16 people,
wow,
which was probably about double or even triple to what I could have had if like a smaller team that working a lot more efficiently would have done the same thing, right? And then I scaled right back down, and I'm not quite a one-man man, but for my YouTube channel, there's probably about 5 or 6 people working on the channel. But I went through a similar process to you, and it's a very common thing because we're always thinking about scaling, we're always thinking about delegating tasks out so we can focus on the more important tasks. But I'm curious how your what your thought process was, firstly, when you started hiring and scaling, and then what your thought process was once you realized you made a bit of a mistake and then you kind of shrunk back down to being a one-man band.
Yeah. So every like YouTube advice channel that we watch seems to tell you that you should hire as a YouTuber, right? Like get an editor and get someone to write your scripts. And we're seeing more and more of these like services being provided by people. So I think I just got swept up in that hype. Like, this is what I'm being told YouTubers should do. I also identify as an entrepreneur. So I was like, entrepreneurs hire people to do jobs so that they can do the higher level tasks. Like, this is what I should do.
And I think also it's a bit of for me, it was a bit of an ego thing in terms of I'm no longer a content creator anymore. I'm now an actual, like a real business owner, and I'm doing real serious business here. But really, it was kind of unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary.
Yeah, we had the same thing with Playstack. Not just Mike's channel, but we had the thing, like both Mike and I were actually real first-time business owner, like a normal business, let's say. And I was like, oh, let's hire. Well, we learned very quickly that wasn't the way to go.
Yeah. My thought process was like, if I get more people in, then I can make more videos. So that's more money coming in from the channel. But you don't realize the problems that that's going to cause before you do it. And it was just a complete rookie mistake. And it was the better decision to scale back. And it puts me at rest hearing that other people are making that mistake too. It's not just me.
But right now, there's quite a few YouTube channels, like big YouTubers, like Matt Diavella, for example. He just posted a video saying that he's also shrinking back down to a one-man band because when he was hiring people and other people were doing the videography and whatnot, he lost the creativity, and he was now making videos to make money as opposed to out of creativity. And so he kind of realized and he went back, and it's kind of trending right now. There's been at least a few videos that I've seen where people have kind of scaled up and then scaled back down.
Yeah, I've seen those too. And I can understand it. Like, most people start a YouTube channel because they enjoy making videos and it comes from a place of passion. But what you find when you add those employees into the mix and you've got like revenue that you've got to hit every month to cover your expenses, it goes from a passion to a chore, like a business, doesn't it? It's like, I completely understand where those guys are coming from.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of us, we started the YouTube channel from a place of passion, but then the problem is as soon as you start earning money, and that money starts paying for your rent and starts paying for the food on your table, it's no longer a passion anymore. It's now a job. And it's a difficult kind of juxtaposition to be stuck in, where it should be a passion, but oftentimes it turns into not so much of a passion and more of a grind, because at the end of the day, YouTube is very much a treadmill where the algorithm will punish you if you stop posting for long enough. So you really need to kind of keep posting regularly.
Yeah, sorry, I just finished my thought with this. I think a good place to get to is get to a position where you can hire people to do the tasks that you don't enjoy doing, you never enjoyed doing, but keep some of that like passion and that joy with other tasks to yourself rather than outsourcing everything.
And I think that freelancers are a good kind of middle ground where you're not tied up with an actual employee where you're having to pay a monthly salary to, but with a freelancer on a kind of a project basis is a good middle ground. And Fiverr, Upwork are incredible. I've spent probably like a lot of money on Fiverr for over the last 8 or 9 years because it's such a productivity hack.
For sure. Yeah, I love freelancers.
What is the strategy for a SaaS business on YouTube?
SaaS businesses are drawn to the approach of just simply uploading tutorial videos onto their YouTube channel. and simply uploading like new feature announcement videos onto there. And they think that's all they need to do to get attention on the platform, acquire new customers, and ride off into the sunset with their business. And I have to constantly remind them that the only people interested in tutorial videos are people who are either already using their products or have heard of their products and are thinking about using it. So what the biggest like value add that I see with those types of businesses is changing that mindset of getting them to move away from talking about just their products and actually talking about wider topics that are still going to like interest their target audience, but isn't just based on their product, so that they can get new viewers, new attention to their brand, and then eventually convert those people to customers.
Yeah, I see a lot of SaaS companies on YouTube, even like the biggest SaaS companies like Notion, Superhuman, Skillshare, and it's the channels are still run in a very kind of corporate way. So with YouTube, in my opinion, the best way to go about YouTube is kind of building a personal brand, where the name of your YouTube channel is your name, because people want to buy from other people. People want to build relationships with other people, not necessarily faceless YouTube channels. Now, that's a problem for SaaS companies because they're a company, they're not an individual person. So what would be a kind of a sidestep, or what advice would you give to a let's say a SaaS YouTube channel that doesn't want to look so corporate, but wants to be a little bit more of a personal brand, as opposed to, or wants to appear more like a personal brand? Because I feel like most SaaS companies don't do it very well. However, there's a few that do it really well. vidIQ, they do it amazingly. So what would your kind of advice be to those companies that want to personalize their corporate YouTube channel?
Yeah. So to start off with, simply moving away from that mindset of just seeing YouTube as an area to promote your tool and its features and provide tutorials, and moving towards how can I add value to my like target viewer and my target customer. That mindset switch does tons there to like make you just seem more personable and actually like, oh, you're there to help your viewer rather than coming from a corporate position. And then you hit the nail on the head perfectly there with like vidIQ, Think Media. I think picking a couple of people within your company to be the face of that channel and actually kind of building their character and their personality into their videos is a huge thing there. A lot of companies, they want to just simply like fully outsource their video creation to an agency, have an agency write the script, X, Y, Z, and then they just come and sit down and film a video. And the person in charge of sitting down and film that video could be rotating, and it could be one person one week and then someone completely different the week after. I think building that skill set within the company, allocating that role to just one or two people within the company, say they become the face of the channel and their characteristics and personality shines through, really helps like build that personal touch, which is really important on YouTube. You're completely correct.
I know a lot of the people because we recommend that as well, because personal, like a face is really important, but a lot of the business owners then are very concerned of like, then they'll have all the leverage over the channel. They like how can we switch people out? Like, what would you say to that? Like, we say like in the end of the day, it's not the biggest problem. It's not ideal. But what would you like say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, it's a risk that's always there. I would say don't put all your eggs into one basket. So don't I don't know if you know of the YouTube channel makers. Like they just had one guy called Nate.
Nate
like building their channel from day one to like a couple of 100,000 subscribers. So when he left, they were screwed because Nate was the channel. Whereas you see other businesses that do this better, and Think Media is a great example of this. Like it started out as just Sean, I believe, but now there's like 3 or 4 rotating faces of that channel. Distribute and spread out like the video creators within your company so that you have like a few people appearing on your channel. So if you lose one of them, you've still got that identity and that familiarity in your channel that you can continue.
Yeah, that's a great example. I remember when Nate left Channel Makers, and his interestingly his new channel is doing amazing. Like he's growing really quickly, which he carried that entire
and I watched every Channel Makers video myself, and I haven't watched a Channel Makers video now in like half a year, like 9 months.
I honestly thought he was the owner, or like that was his thing, because like indeed he was the only one. So I guess they need to diversify in that as well. Like I like Think Media's just like, because Mike and I, we started our own channel very slowly, because obviously we're business owners and we're trying, like Mike has his own channel and we're trying to allocate resources to running our channel, because a lot of people don't. There's a lot of time involved in running a channel, obviously. And when I look at Think Media, then I'm like, oh yeah, they have like 3-4 people on it. That makes your life so much easier than having to do it all by yourself. And that's just like, okay, you guys are doing good.
And they probably have way more people behind the scenes too, doing like competitive research, designing the thumbnails and all of that back end stuff.
You've been communicating with Annie, and she set up everything. Like, we hired her specifically to run podcasts for ourselves, but also for our clients. But it's just, I mean, like when I've run my own podcast, and I did it in person as well. So I would set it up. I would have multiple cameras and do the editing, but I would spend over 10 hours on average per video. And if you wanted to keep up per week, that's like 10 hours. Like, oh, it's only 10 hours. Like, yeah, but you also have a job, or you also have to do other stuff. The podcast was one out of so many other things. Yeah. So Annie is doing a great job for us.
Yeah, because Milan and I had this conversation. We must have been going back and forth for about a year to start this podcast. Like Milan's really into podcasts, both consuming and producing. And I was like, I don't want to start another treadmill. I don't want to start another thing that's going to take up a few more hours of my week that doesn't have an end. Like, it's for the rest of your life, or unless you sell the business. But then we was like, okay, if we delegate everything, and then it takes like an hour and a half of my time a week, then let's do it. And that's what we do with the podcast. That's also what I do with my YouTube channel. So I've delegated everything except for me being on camera, and a few like tiny tasks here and there that I don't quite want to let go. But it's very, very delegated out so that I can actually focus on running a business as opposed to a YouTube channel. Because I think what a lot of people forget is that the YouTube channel itself is not necessarily the business. The YouTube channel is just a kind of a traffic engine. And then in many ways, in some ways, that's the easy part. Then you've got to actually monetize it and create the product, create the service, and start selling. So for me, that's been quite a big thing, delegating things out so that I can actually focus on building the businesses.
But Greg, then that's quite interesting for you then, because you're like, I don't want to be dealing with other people. Like, I know you stop your podcast for that exact reason, I suppose, or also for other reasons. But like, if you had to replace, for example, our podcast manager with something AI, how would that look like?
Ooh, good question. So your podcast manager is in charge of outreach, right? And trying to get guests.
Outreach, research, booking. She'll deal with the editors of, like, because we are big fans of Diary of a CEO, and if you know him, like the way they do their intros, like, so we go big on the intros as well. So she helps with that process, and then she'll communicate with the thumbnail designer and come up with all of that. And then we're like, Mike and I are actually so little involved that we only need to approve or like final suggestions on the output. And so she runs.
Okay, well, this is getting out of my area of expertise, guys. People management and outreach. I know that there's some cool tools. I mean, like, a lot of outreach is writing emails, right? And writing. So if I was going to automate that, I'd probably be looking at a tool like Jasper or ChatGPT just to kind of write these outreach emails. And I'm seeing cool tools at the moment. Like, have you heard of AI avatars? Yeah, you can kind of.
I saw your video. You made a video about a month ago, right? Is that what?
Yeah,
what
kind
you
of
mean?
just
Yeah, that was an
text to
interesting
video. You type in what you want the digital person to say, and they say it, and it starts to look more and more convincing as a human. And I'm seeing that technology dipping into outreach, where you can kind of do personalized kind of video outreach to people. You just type in the name, and you can even link it to like their website or their channels or any information about them, and it can kind of personalize the message that it has based on individual information to individual people. So yeah, you could do some time saving around writing and filming with outreach. The people management stuff.
No, I was gonna ask about the video that you made, I think about a month ago, of you made a video, and the first like 10 or 15 seconds you were talking, but it wasn't actually you talking. It was an AI avatar that was talking. And what I'm a little bit concerned / curious about is in the future, like AI, how AI is going to affect content creators, right? Because it seems content creation is getting so much easier, right? So the script writing, even like, for example, ChatGPT, it can make an incredible script, or it can make quite a good script. It can't quite make an incredible script yet, but in 1 year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, it probably will be able to. Same with having an avatar. So let's say in like 2 years time or in 5 years time, I wouldn't need to be in front of the camera, and I'd have an avatar here that would look exactly like me, and you wouldn't be able to tell. And that's a little bit concerning for me, because then it's like you can make unlimited. Firstly, anyone can be me, and then you wouldn't know if it's a deep fake or if it's actually me talking. And I'd imagine this would be more of a thing in like politics, for presidential elections, that kind of thing. But it's a little bit concerning because from that standpoint, but also if you had the resources, you could essentially make unlimited content if you don't need a person here. Because right now it seems like the bottleneck is the person talking in front of the camera. There's only so much you can talk in front of a camera. But if you have like an avatar that can be running 365 days a year, then surely YouTube, if YouTube allowed that, and that's another question, would YouTube allow like deep fakes? But what do you think how do you think AI will affect content creation, not in 1 year's time or 2 years' time, but let's say in like 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? Because that for me is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're completely right. I think that image of the future that could be possible probably will happen at some point in the future. I don't know what that's going to mean for content creators. Fortunately, right now we can see the difference between a digital person and a real person, and YouTube is starting to weave in these policies around AI content. But if YouTube doesn't keep the reins on that, there could be a day where digital content is so convincing and is indistinguishable between real people that most of the content we're seeing is AI generated content. Completely.
Do you think that YouTube would allow that? Do you think that YouTube would allow deep fakes, or would they keep a cap on that? Because surely that would get out of hand. I'm not even thinking about YouTube, but I'm thinking about like presidential elections or on the news with people talking, or presidents or prime ministers talking. You don't know whether it's actually them talking. Like YouTube in the content creation game is kind of like a low risk component relative to how kind of dangerous this technology could be. And just to kind of preface that, I love AI, and I love the way that AI is making our lives a lot easier, but there are a lot of risks at the same time.
Yeah, and like even looking at that like politician example, we're never going to want to be in a position where we're watching a video that appears to be a politician, but it was really an AI digital clone doing or saying whatever it's been programmed to. Like, I think we're always going to want legislation there to ban that, so that we know that the videos we're seeing are real people. But if you look at that like another cynical dystopian view, it could be at the point AI could get so good that we get to the point where even though we're seeing a real politician, everything they're saying and have been told to say and trained to say has come from AI, because the AI has calculated this is the best thing you can say in this speech to win you the election. So yeah, image of scary future there. Whether YouTube will allow just complete AI content farms to exist and be the norm, I think YouTube, at the end of the day, cares about what's going to make YouTube the most money. So I think over time, that's going to be the main driver in their decision making. And it's we'll have to just wait and see what they decide. It will be sad if the career of content creation and authentic content creators disappear. But if 1,000 times more content being created by AI is going to make YouTube more money, they're probably going to go in that direction, which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
So there's already a creator that has done the full AI route, Kwebbelkop. He's like a Dutch gaming creator, and there was a lot of controversy around it. Reason being because in the beginning it was really bad, but he knew, and he's also very aware. He also has a business that is focused on this AI generation. And so everything is run, and it's like gaming content and it's reaction content. And so he built models based off that. But there was a podcast on the Colin and Samir show with Kwebbelkop, I think, where they had this exact conversation. And I was like, what will YouTube do about it? And one of the reasons that Kwebbelkop was doing this is to push YouTube to set boundaries. And the boundaries are, I don't know about deepfakes, but the boundaries are that your YouTube cannot be AI or automated, run by itself. It can have AI content, but not automated. Like it's not allowed to like post automatically or done by an AI. That needs to be done by a human, like the posting of it. And that's at least one one thing for stopping it, because then else it would be on autopilot, and then you can like spam like 1 million videos in a day and stuff like that. But there's indeed like it's a big question of like where this is going to go to. Right now, a lot of people are like, oh, AI, should you be concerned that it takes over? Personally, I like, the thing is, you know how we also always like us as YouTube consultants says like, okay, we're looking for this evergreen type of content, right? So it's like that evergreen video that you posted 5 years ago will still get you views today. If you're posting AI content, that goes out of fashion like next month, because there will be a better AI version, or there will be, people will know that it's AI in a few months' time, and then they will not watch it because they know it's AI or a bad AI. Yeah. So the moment when you can't distinguish it anymore, then you should be concerned for sure. But it doesn't live, like it's still worth doing it yourself, because if you make a really good video now, it will still be watched in 5 years, because it's timeless in that sense. But AI is currently not timeless.
Yeah.
The current state of AI.
Yeah, the technology isn't timeless because we currently can easily tell when a video has been made by AI. And the technology is always improving, like you said. So something that's good today is going to be outdated in 6 months' time. But I do think AI content is being directed more at like trending of the moment topics. Like you see a lot of news channels using AI content, you know, to just ride the hype of a new trend, talk about a trending topic, knowing that no one's going to be watching a video on that topic in a week's time, and that the priority is just get a video out on that topic as soon as possible and be the first to market. So yeah, there's parallels there between short-lived like tech that's constantly being bettered, and that tech actually being directed towards short-lived topics as well at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast AI is really changing not just the content creation space, but all spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what, let's say in like 5 years time or 10 years time, what a content creator would need to do to really stand out, right? So right now in 2024, you need to either be like very entertaining, like Mr. Beast, or provide a lot of value, like Diary of a CEO, or the production quality needs to be crazy high, like Matt Diavella or Life of Reza, or you have to have like a really kind of entertaining personality, like Casey Neistat, for example. So these are all kind of human traits. So then in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, what would the traits have to be, or what would your USP have to be as a content creator to stand out? Because I'd imagine we'd all be using the same ChatGPT or the same kind of language learning models to create our content. So then what would make one person stand out to the other? And I don't know, and I don't know if anyone really has the answer to.
Do you not think it would be the same? Like whoever can either entertain or provide information, like whoever can give those two types of value the best is going to be the winner.
Yes, but then at the same time, it would be like, let's say if AI, or let's say ChatGPT, just an example, is advancing as fast as it is, because it only really became mainstream about 1.5 years ago, and in that 1.5 years, it's advanced hugely. Like it's crazy how fast it's kind of developing. So then in 5 years' time, it'll be making like amazing scripts, arguably, maybe, or definitely in 10 years' time, better than humans can write scripts. Likely. Like it'll know how to make a really strong hook. It'll know all of the script writing techniques that we use to hook the viewer and to increase that, to keep that audience attention high. And then what is left from the human side of it? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. Like I think
it would be emotions, no? That's like the only difference you can have. That's like true, the emotional. Yeah. And that's why, for example, these days communities are super important, because you make those actual connections. And that's where everybody's moving towards.
And just to play devil's advocate, and maybe I'm thinking too far ahead here, but maybe in 10 years' time, AI won't be able to understand emotions, but maybe in 15 years' time, it will be able to understand emotions.
But in 15 years' time, I think we'll find something else on it. But
just to add to that,
it's like where
you're correct. You're right.
Like, go ahead.
We, as people, we love human connections. Like that is something that's timeless. But I wonder if that will change. I wonder if when AI gets so good at mimicking humans, that our need for connection from other people gets reduced. Because as an alternative, we're finding that connection in technology and digital alternatives. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And we've already kind of headed in that direction to some extent with Web 2.0. starting around 2006 with MySpace and Facebook and social media, and we're not as kind of interactive or sociable as we were, let's say, in the early 2000s and 1990s. And we're already kind of on that trajectory of becoming less and less social, and especially with technology like virtual reality. So you imagine in, I don't know, 20 years time, 50 years time, you could just be living in your apartment in your living room, but put your VR headset on, which wouldn't be these big things. There would be these like kind of small glasses, and then you could live like, you could travel anywhere in the world. You could feel it in your skin, like you could feel the breeze on your skin. So we're kind of already heading that way, which is strange to think about
as well, really.
Yeah, but I think there will always be a pushback. I mean, we're all experienced the 90s where we were disconnected, or in a way, and we weren't online, right? So, and then for the last 20-25 years, we've been growing into that, but now people are really like needing that connection again. And so as much as these technologies are developing, I think there will be a counter something towards that.
I wouldn't.
There must be, because it's crazy. Like, you can't live in a virtual reality like that. It's freaking crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if authenticity became a subculture. You know, if the mainstream was to just live in VR and have like robot friends, but the same way that we have people now that still choose to listen to vinyls, or they still choose to drive muscle cars from the 1950s, and we're going to get that subculture that still chooses to only watch other people, humans, on YouTube. It's going to be an interesting future.
I personally hope that AI is just becoming an enhancement of what we can do rather than being the immersive thing. But I mean, we've taken a lot of your time, and we want to wrap up here. So the last question I want to ask you is, like, going back to what your YouTube is about, is using AI to create content. If someone isn't really using AI tools right now, which, let's say, top 3 tools should people be using right now to help me with this, save time, maybe even save money because of the people that you can avoid hiring?
With the time, I put saving time and saving money together, because if you're not having to hire someone to do a job and you can do it yourself quicker, you're saving money and saving time. So with the time saving with video production, I think the biggest value add at this point with AI is the editing process. So I'd be using an AI to do that first pass edit. I'd then be using an AI to do like nice additional extras. So I can recommend Gling for the first pass for cutting out silences, getting rid of repetitions. I would recommend Ali Abdal actually has a great AI tool called Firecut. And this does things like, it finds important like dramatic words in your script, and it chooses those moments to like zoom in on the person's face and then zoom out and like animate those zooms.
Yeah, we tried that, but we tried it a few months ago, and the consensus was it wasn't there yet. So maybe recently it got a little bit better.
I quite like it.
I don't know.
I throw my videos in there, get some zooms added onto it, get some chapter title screens added in, maybe some captions in the first like 30 seconds. Does that automatically really quickly. And then the third tool, I think another huge value add that AI can provide us as content creators is repurposing. So just taking what we've made and putting it into other places. Opus Clip, I've already mentioned before, is great for that. I take my long form videos, cut it into vertical shorts, and then that's like a YouTube video that I can then turn into a short, a TikTok, Instagram, and a LinkedIn post. So those are the 3.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, especially AI is like an unlimited topic in a way as well, that we can, like, if we have the same conversation in 6 months, it will probably look different again. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.